I was married for 19 years and it just didn't work out. We didn't foster our relationship and instead put our kids first. I then got divorced and immediately fell in love with someone that I was set up with on a blind date.
Blind dates do work. That's how I met my husband.
We dated for almost 3 years and he took his own life 2 years ago.
Right.
He is the one that really taught me what love was and how to be loved the way that I needed to be loved. I have found myself back in the dating pool. I want to keep going and seeing places and doing things, and I want to find somebody that has that same interest in love and that would like to do that with me.
If your life was going to be happier, how would it be different? Hi, and welcome back to another edition of our podcast series. This time we're talking with Michelle today, who's got a really fascinating story and a couple of really interesting things she wants to figure out. So Michelle, hi, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good.
It's her first time doing a podcast too, so this will be fun. Okay. So Michelle and I met kind of accidentally at a social function, and we got to talking, and I thought her story was absolutely fascinating. And I thought she would have some really good insights and perspectives to share. And in addition to that, she had some things that she wanted to sort of change around in her life and get to be a little bit different. So that's how we have a mutually beneficial situation. And here we are. All right. So let's start with, if you wouldn't mind, just sort of give a little bit of a recap on the highlights of your interesting life. How about that?
That's kind of a loaded statement. So I was married for 19 years and it just didn't work out. We didn't foster our relationship and instead put our kids first and not our relationship. And so it just kind of fizzled. I then got divorced and immediately fell in love with someone that I was set up with on a blind date.
Blind dates do work. That's how I met my husband.
I mean, it was kind of crazy, but
they are.
And then we dated for almost 3 years, and he took his own life 2 years ago.
Right.
2.5 years ago. And so I have found myself back in the dating pool and just meeting people by putting myself out there in any situation that I can, or the dating apps, or, hanging out with friends and seeing if, they have mutual friends and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And you were sharing with me when I first met you that the second relationship you had was very significant. Sort of like your soulmate kind of.
Yeah, he is the one that really taught me what love was and how to be loved the way that I needed to be loved. Because my husband definitely loved me, but I don't think it was in the way that I needed to be loved. In hindsight, you don't know that at the time probably, but I did learn that in meeting my second relationship. And we talked about getting married. We were going to get married whenever the kids got to college, and it just wasn't in the cards. But I had to learn that wasn't my fault and that was something that he carried the burden for.
Right.
I'm still close with his family, and his best friends have become my best friends, and they take care of me, and I travel with them and all the things. So, but yeah, he definitely taught me what it was like to feel love.
So here you are at this point in your life, and we talked a minute ago about sort of a couple of goals you might have in mind for this chat. So what would those be?
I would say what makes me happy? What makes Michelle happy on a daily basis?
That's something you want to learn more about.
That's what I want to learn more about.
Okay.
I want to keep that in the forefront because no one else can make you happy. You have to make you happy. And until
other people
happy,
contribute significantly.
They do contribute. I agree, but they're not responsible for. How's that?
Right.
So, I just want to maintain that and make sure that I keep myself happy and that I'm not relying on somebody else to do that for me.
So what, if your life was going to be happier, how would it be different?
Now, if I could win the lottery and not work, then that would be my main. But that's not realistic. I don't know. And that's why I have trouble answering that question, honestly.
Okay, well, let's just dive a little deeper. So if you did know, what would make it better or different? What would that look like? Can you imagine? Project? Like, let's say a year from now, you wanted to be really doing great and happy, what would be different?
I would have somebody that I shared my life with, that, called me in the morning or was there in the morning just to say hi and I hope you have a nice day kind of a thing. Someone that would enjoy travel, because I have gotten a travel bug and I love it. And so I want to keep going and seeing places and doing things. And I want to find somebody that has that same interest and love and that would like to do that with me.
So it's interesting. You're actually talking about doing things.
Yeah. I sat at home for the first 20 years of my marriage. And so I don't want to sit at home anymore.
So doing things are important, right? What I want to have you focus a little bit more on, though, is how do you want to feel?
I want to feel carefree. So earlier this year, I went to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And I found a side of me that I frankly didn't know existed.
You were running around naked on the beach?
I was not running around naked on the beach.
Oh, gee, that would have made such a good story.
But I kind of unplugged my phone. It was international, and so I just didn't really use it. And it was nice to unplug because I don't really do that very well at all, as most people nowadays. And so I just lived every day and took it in and didn't worry about, is my son doing all right today? Because they're grown, they're adults. And they know how to take care of themselves. And if not, their grandparents were in town to take care of them if they needed it. And so
Sure.
It was nice to let go and just live for me. And that's kind of what I did. And I just didn't know. I encountered bugs and I didn't care. And that isn't somebody who I am. I call her Costa Rica Michelle, and she was fabulous. And she laughed and she had a good time, and she just didn't worry about if her hair was done or if her makeup looked fine. So
what you're talking about is freedom, because you are a rulesy kind of person. You're very into rules and structure.
I'm
and
very type A.
Well, no, that's not type A. There actually isn't anything. There's no such thing as type A. It's just a psychobabble term somebody came up with that sounded interesting. No, what you are is you have a state of anxiety, kind of constant, and you are a rules girl. Rules make you feel safe. Okay. So for some reason, when you went to Costa Rica and had this great experience, you noticed the rules were very loosened. And you sort of liked that.
I did like that.
So the question might be, what in the world could you do here that makes you feel like there?
I would say also, I just want somebody to take care of me. I take care of everything here. And whenever I was in Costa Rica, I met a friend and he took care of everything. And so I didn't have to take care of everything. I just went along with it. And it was nice not to be the one in charge and be the one that had to decide this and that and the other and make sure everything was lined up. It's like you said, the freedom.
Well, the freedom and the connection. Okay. Yeah. So we can talk a lot about places. I myself love places. Italy is my favorite place, as most people now know. But this is all what we're talking about is a state of mind. So what kind of state of mind do you want to be in to have your life go the way you want it to go and to be happy? One of the parts of that is, so people have basically 4 things you need to pay attention to really have a happy life. One is nutrition. You've got to eat right. You've got to be healthy with all that, because what you put in your body is very important, and we all know that. Sleep is another one, often overlooked, especially with young families and so forth.
Right.
But getting really good sleep is very important to your overall health and happiness. Sleep deprivation is a form of torture, for a good reason. It's really bad when we're sleep deprived. Then we have sexuality and romance. Now, that's not a thing happening in your life right now that you say you want to have happen.
Right.
And that's a very important piece.
Right.
And then it's fun and adventure, a sense of adventure. And that could be whatever. So for people like you and me, that means we travel someplace fun and interesting. She is going to Paris in the next few days. I'm so jealous.
1 week.
One week, but who's counting? And or maybe it's taking on learning something new, or it could be a number of things. But a sense of adventure is very important. So let's just assume for a moment that nutrition and sleep are in a good space for you.
And they are.
And they are. So now we're going to focus on sexuality and romance. So what does that look like if you had it go exactly the way you want?
if I had it go exactly the way that I want, I would find somebody that is just as driven as me, but yet still wants to enjoy life.
Those are very general terms. What does that mean exactly?
I mean,
Driven. So if you end up with a guy who's very, very driven, there often is a lack on the other side of things, like being compassionate and other-oriented.
okay.
Like you want him out there hard charging, kicking butt and taking names, and that means that his career is the most important thing?
No, I want to be the most important thing.
There you go. There you go.
No,
now,
I
apparently
do.
that did not happen in your marriage.
No.
But it did happen in the second relationship.
Correct.
In a way that you liked.
Correct.
Okay. So how do you find that?
I don't know. That's what you're here for.
Okay, here's the phone number.
Right? That would
The
be
Julie
fabulous.
matchmaking service. No.
That would be fabulous.
So how about it starts with you being the person that will attract that?
I agree. And I think it starts with me making myself happy. Like going back to what I had said earlier.
Not really.
Why?
So, well, being happy is great. I mean, I'm all for that. But when I say you want to be the kind of person that attracts that, there's more to it than just you being happy. That's kind of a superficial thing.
Okay.
There's you being calm. There's you being other-oriented, which is probably the most important thing in a relationship, is to be other-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
There is you being empathetic, respectful, open, vulnerable.
I would say I'm all of those things.
All of those things?
I would characterize myself as the majority of those things. Vulnerable is probably the hardest one after everything that I've been through. Mm-hmm. It's hard to trust again.
What if it wasn't? Would that be better?
Well, yes.
Well, let's talk about that, because I have an awful lot of clients that come in talking about trust issues of various kinds, and there's a lot of different angles to that. So one of the mistakes they make is thinking that trust is, first of all, is a feeling, and almost everybody seems to say something like, well, it just takes time. It doesn't.
No.
Time actually has nothing to do with trust,
Yeah.
which is an interesting thing. Trust in the end is a decision.
Right.
Okay?
I agree with that.
Decisions happen in an instant. Debating it in your head can go on to infinity.
Right. And usually does.
It usually does. If you want to trust yourself or trust the guy, I'm not sure which.
Probably a little bit of both, because I don't want to fall too hard too fast. And so I kind of hold back on that out of my own protection, for lack of a better word.
But sometimes we can protect ourselves from things that we don't need to be protected from.
I agree.
Because
and you
you're
missed an opportunity.
Correct. And that has to do with looking in the past and doing comparative analysis. So
Right.
the frame of mind I'd like you to be in for all these wonderful things you want to do, Michelle, is a genius state of mind. Genius is noticing only what could be. It's a very powerful way to walk around in the world, no matter what the subject is. Genius, it hasn't got to do with intellect, how smart you are. It has to do with your focus. If your focus is what's next in the future, that's where you want to have your awareness. I think it was Tony Robbins that said, successful people spend 95% of their time thinking about what's next or the future, 5% of their time thinking about or remembering what happened in the past. Because the mistake, of course, is that people hyperfixate on what happened in the past. And of course, nobody wants to repeat
Sure.
a painful experience.
Sure.
But just because you hyper-focus on it doesn't mean you're protecting yourself.
No.
In fact, that could create
hurting.
other
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
So in this genius thinking state of mind, you're open to what could be. And the trick is that you have your mood, your emotions, and your feelings matching up to what it is that you're chasing, what it is that you want next. You're not reacting to something that happened in the past.
I like that.
Yeah, I figured you might.
Yeah,
So
I like
for
that.
for everyone, for all of us, we want to minimize any reaction to the past. So whatever we all need to do to process it, grieve it, forgive it is a big thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had to go through that
I did,
in a big way.
in a huge way.
Yep. So whatever it is that we have to do to process it and get it done, processing doesn't last, forever.
Right.
All right? Because then you're back to that, debating it in your head, really. So the reality is decision, whether it's to trust yourself or someone else, happens in an instant. And the interesting thing is withholding trust. This is another thing people think that isn't true. Withholding trust seems to be like a safety mechanism. Like if I just don't trust, then I'll be safe. Mm-hmm. That isn't necessarily true.
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
It's a common misnomer.
And the other thing is, if you're going to trust, let's say, which is not your situation, but let's say you had a history of guys, cheating on you or something, whatever, that happens. Well, I'm not going to trust, the next time I'm just going to hold on and not trust and, wait a long time. Well, that could be really devastating if the guy you're with is an okay guy.
Right.
And even if he's not trusting him doesn't keep you safe because you have all the same options to deal with him. Like his shit could be in the front yard with the sprinklers on when he comes home at any point,
True.
Whether you trusted him or not. So if you trust and then you find out somehow that he was not worthy of the trust or there was an issue, then you still have all the same options that you always did.
Yeah.
But what option you don't have if you don't trust is being vulnerable and open and making it better.
Right.
So this whole trust thing is kind of
it's a tangled web.
So your best bet is to be bold. That's true in business. I know. That's why we're having this talk. I know. Her face just flushed. Did you see that? She's like, bold. All right.
Hard for me.
So, there's a saying, fortune favors the bold. Mm-hmm. Right? What do you think that means?
Good things happen to those that go after them.
Well, I don't know if it's good things as much as I think of it as more like booty. Bounty, gold doubloons, treasure chests, I just sort of, it always reminds me of the pirates, you have to be really bold as a pirate to be successful.
You would, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, people will kill you. It was a lethal offense to be a pirate back in the day. Probably still should be, but it's another story. And so they had to be bold in their planning, in their future view of this, and they had to take risk. They had to take big risks.
And they had to have confidence. And that's where I struggle a little bit too.
What do you think confidence is? God, I have a lot of people asking me about that. What is confidence, Michelle?
I would say believing in yourself.
No.
Well, then what is it?
Oh, that's a good question. Confidence is the belief that everything's going to be okay. In the end, somehow, some way, it'll all work out.
Well, I do believe that.
Well, then you should have a lot of confidence because you're very smart, you're very capable, you're very successful. You've got all kinds of attributes and stuff going for you. You don't want to be thinking the incorrect view that confidence means, you have some Pollyanna idea that, everything's perfect. It's not.
No.
And confidence is something that you get through trial and error. Mm-hmm. Like you fail at this, you screw up at that, this goes to hell in a handbasket. And you figure out a way to make it through. It might not be the outcome that you originally had envisioned,
right?
But it's it works out somehow.
Right.
Right? Like parenting is a great example. I'm very sure that the vision you had originally of being a mom went through many iterations and, changes.
Yes.
Before you felt confident.
Yes. Agreed.
But wasn't it true that by going through the ups and downs of it, the learnings of it, that you go, okay, well, I can handle this. I got this.
And you're better with number two whenever you.
Oh, of course, because you have the experience.
Right.
And so that gives you the confidence.
Right.
So you've been through it and you succeeded.
Right.
It was okay in the end. Now, it isn't going to be perfect. Doesn't mean you get everything you wanted or it's going to go the way you imagined it in the beginning. But somehow, some way you make it through.
Right. I would say I had no confidence in my marriage. As I gained confidence, that is kind of when my marriage kind of started to deteriorate a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm more confident now than I was. And I'm back to the confidence that I really had whenever I was like in high school. That doesn't mean I don't have times that I go in that lull.
Sure.
Where I've lost the confidence. But
sure.
I will say that's something that's always in my forefront to think about to make sure that I maintain, because I did lose it for so long that I want to make sure I don't lose it again.
Yeah, but you've come a really long way since then.
I have. A lot has happened, and I'm happier, even though I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot more than what most people have. And I'm happier having gone through it. Mm-hmm. And I don't want what I've gone through to be for nothing.
And it's never for nothing.
Well, but some people can think that it is, and woe is me, and all of those
people
things.
in pity parties. No,
yes,
no,
and
no,
I'm
that's
not
not
that person, and I don't want to be that person.
So how about the idea that we build the picture of your future in such a way that you are then as you are now. You are confident, and it doesn't blow in the wind. Mm-hmm. It doesn't rise or fall based on like your self-esteem and vision of yourself as a parent. Did that really rise and fall with every little, thing that came up with your kids? Or did you just kind of sail through going, well, this is kind of hard or this is kind of easy, but we'll figure it out and get through it?
I would say I have two phases of my life. And in my marriage, no, I didn't have it. Mm-hmm. But ever since then, yes. And you just kind of get through it. And nope, you don't make the right decision every time, but you learn and you apologize and you move forward and you say, okay, we need to do this time.
So that's an interesting thing about learning and moving forward. So my belief is that everything we go through in life, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the easy stuff, the hard stuff, everything we go through in life has a purpose, and that is some kind of learning that your soul needs. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if that's true, then the whole point of anything we go through is not to hyperfixate on it, beat ourselves up about it, et cetera, or go into woe is me pity parties.
Right.
That's really bad. The point of it is to take those positive learnings. Now, the learnings may be positive. The way you got them may not be so positive.
Right.
There's often the case.
Right.
It's often the case. Some of our best learnings come from the hardest situations,
right.
But in the end, they're still positive learnings, and we're supposed to take those forward with us, as you said, in a way that'll help us in the future, and they become wisdom that nobody can take from you.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
That begins to be the solid foundation of your confidence. Now, the problem, of course, is that a lot of people go through these experiences, whatever they are, again, easy or hard, painful or whatever, and they take the positive learnings forward along with the negative emotions associated with that learning. Mm-hmm. And therein lies the problem, because if you take the negative emotions that are associated with that learning forward, it ruins the learning. Mm-hmm. So that becomes really important, something I really want you personally to think about. It's time to cut the cord with all that stuff.
Right.
It should be like not in your field of view, not in your awareness. You want to be chasing what you want, not trying to avoid what you don't want. And that is
a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm, because we all have sort of a default position in general, and then it can be context specific. Like I'm sort of a toward pleasure kind of person. I tend to chase what I want. I'm not so good at avoiding what I don't want sometimes. But so if I'm stepping on a path with a rattlesnake in front of it, I better be away from pain, better be away from the problem to avoid it. But when you're trying to design your life, you want to be really toward pleasure, really chasing what you want. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things we call in NLP, we call that a meta program, that you tend to be away from pain or toward pleasure. The away from pain strategy only lasts for a little while, because as soon as you're not experiencing the level of pain that was the motivation, that's a motivation strategy. As soon as you're not experiencing that level of pain anymore, then your motivation kind of falls off.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So if you were toward pleasure in your strategy, that there's always something more to chase when it's toward pleasure. Mm-hmm. And that becomes a stronger way to walk around in the world, to accomplish things, is toward pleasure, to chase what you want.
I think that I struggle with that in the aspect of I tend to put other people before myself. And so I don't tend to make myself the priority, and that's what I need to start doing. And I don't mean in a relationship like romantically necessarily, as I mean my kids or my parents or a friend or...
Well, you don't have kids anymore.
Well...
You have adults.
I mean, I know, but they're always going to be my kids.
But I mean, no, they're not. No, they're adults. They're adults. And in the last, 20 or 30 years, it seems like we have grown this crop of psycho moms from hell.
Agreed. Agreed.
So you have to understand, your kids are living their own life. They come through you. You don't own them.
Correct.
And they're not about you.
Correct.
So moms that have a problem detaching are by definition limiting the growth and independence and success of their kids. And I'm sure you don't want to do that.
No. And I mean,
So
when
at
my
this
daughter
point-
did study abroad in Florence this past summer, I had to give some tough love because she wanted to come home. She was homesick. And I was like, you know what? You're saying, I love you. I know you can do this. I've given you all of the tools that you need to succeed. And I know it will be very hard, but you can do it. So I do think that I do that. But by the same token, do I cook? Well, I don't cook anymore, but if they had asked me to, would I? Yeah, I probably would. And if they want to spend time with me, I will spend time with them.
Well, this isn't about not spending time. It's about where your awareness is. Your awareness needs to be right now on your life and having your life created and crafted the way you want it to go. Not on, are they doing okay? Do they need anything? What can I provide? How's that going? Because, at some point you got to stop shoving pillows under their butt.
Right. Well, and I think that that's kind of what I'm alluding to that I found in Costa Rica. I couldn't, I could have if I really wanted to, but I chose to not. And it was fabulous because I finally took the time for me.
No, you took the awareness for you. You've always had the time.
True.
So I'd like you to really use that Costa Rica experience as a template.
Costa Rica Michelle was a delight.
Well, yeah. But see, Costa Rica Michelle needs to be living in Pensacola.
She does need to be living in Pensacola.
So if you take the key elements of that, Michelle, and transpose it on this Michelle,
right?
You see, it wasn't a function of a location, really.
Right.
It was entirely where your awareness was,
And your mindset,
your exploration. You were in an exploring and discovering kind of time and a freedom kind of mood. You could have had that. Technically, you could have had that in Pittsburgh. It's
right.
A lot prettier in Costa Rica, probably.
It sounds better that it was in Costa Rica.
Yeah, sure, right. So I have a similar thing happen when I go to Italy. Like, everything is great. I am thrilled. I am happy. I couldn't possibly be in a bad mood. It is wonderful. I feel fabulous, okay? And Italy, God knows, is beautiful and awesome. But, Italian Julie could be living here too.
Right.
And that's what I strive for.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I want you to really think about that. It's really kind of important that we paint the picture in your head of how you want it to go. And so we're starting to get some pieces to that. We don't want to be away from pain in our strategy. We want to be toward pleasure, toward chasing what you want, and chasing it like it has importance. And whether that's more time for yourself, more activities, a romantic partner, learning to speak Greek, whatever it might be. You want to be pursuing that because, we only get so many laps around the sun.
Right. And I learned that the hard way by losing that.
With your friend.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right. That's right. So the legacy of that learning is live life to the fullest. Don't hold back.
What I like to say is that life's too short to not be happy, but it's also too long to not be happy.
Yeah, that's true too.
I mean,
that's true too. So we have this toward pleasure, want to chase what you want. We have this other component that you do want to explore, think about being more vulnerable and open instead of being rulesy. Okay.
Okay.
Right? Because the rules they're really kind of a fabrication. Technically speaking, there really aren't any rules. It's just a bunch of stuff we sort of agree to. Sort of.
Yeah.
But as we know, and we could just turn on the TV and find out, there's all kind of people that have no regard for the rules whatsoever.
Right.
So they're not operating on the same level we are.
Right.
But this whole idea that the rules are it's like an invisible structure. There's really nothing there. At the end of the day, it's how you want to live, how you want to be toward other people. That's really important. Now, yes, we can't go 70 miles an hour in a 25-mile zone,
Sure.
things like that. But you understand what I'm saying in a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
There aren't rules for falling in love. There's not rules for picking out a partner.
Right.
There's not rules for being happy.
Right.
Those are much more on a feeling, intuition, imagination basis. So I'd like to really have you imagine dialing up your intuition, your imagination, and your senses. Okay? So one of the other things that we'll put into this future Michelle happy life is that I would really like you to think about being less analytical in your head and more in your senses.
You know that I'm an accountant, right?
Yes, I do. Okay. I do. That's specifically why we're talking about this. Yes, actually, that was my secret plan. As soon as I found out what you did, I said, "Oh my God, this will be such a great interview," because a lot of people are very in their head for a variety of reasons. It could be what they do for a living. And that's fine, by the way, that you're in your head. That would be a good place to be. You don't want to say, I feel this number is about right.
True.
No, you have to know the
True.
number is right. So I get that. But just because you excel in that, you have a skill in that, an aptitude in that area that's significant, doesn't mean that that's the same skill or aptitude you want everywhere.
True.
Okay, like for an example, in the romance department, you want to be only in your senses.
Mm-hmm.
Only in your senses. Specifically, sight first, then sound, then touch. Okay, so visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And the reason for that is that's where life is lived. It's lived in your senses. It's not lived in your head. So all of us that might be very intellectually gifted or very logical or very, whatever that is, that's great. And there's a place for that. But what I'm suggesting is something called behavioral flexibility, where you could be really, really good, knocking it out there, but really, really good in the rest of your life, it's a different skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So inductive reasoning versus deductive reasoning. You're very good at deductive reasoning, but deductive reasoning by definition is taking away from some general principles to get to some conclusion.
Right.
Where inductive reasoning is starting here and building up to what you want the conclusion to be.
Okay.
It's a very different approach.
Right.
A lot of women are in deductive reasoning when they think about picking a new partner. Well, I don't want him to be too tall or too short. I don't want him to have this or that. And eventually you get down to, there's Kevin Costner and no one else.
Right. Right. Matthew McConaughey.
Or whatever. Yes, exactly the same. Yes, we're on that same wavelength.
Right.
Yeah, okay. And yes, both of you guys can call us. So
we are available.
We are available somehow. Yeah. So the inductive reasoning, you imagine what you want and build up from there. But it does have to do with so this is very logical. I want this, I don't want this, I like this, I don't like that. How do you want to see it? How do you want to feel it? How do you want to hear it? So what would that look like? So let's say you're in a great romance. What are you seeing?
A lot of laughter.
No, that's what you hear.
Oh, well, that's true. Well, gosh, I don't know what I'm seeing. Someone smiling back at me and
someone who's very attractive.
Well, yes,
to you.
Of
course. Well, let's not go.
That goes without saying.
No, it needs to be said because sight is actually the first thing.
Yes.
So he would be physically attractive.
He would be physically attractive.
And what does that mean for you? So we can start adding to the gene pool here.
I would say taller.
Taller than you. Okay.
Well, and that's going to be difficult. And so I've resigned myself to the fact that that's probably not going to happen. But I'm okay with that.
Wait. How tall are you?
I'm 5'10" and a half, 5'11".
You just need 6 foot and above. There's plenty of them out there like that. and notice how quick you were to give up on that.
I was, because it's hard to find.
No.
You would be surprised.
I've spent more time around men than you have.
Well,
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I think the average height of the American male is actually about 5'10".
yeah, I would agree with you.
Okay. So that means 50% are shorter than that and 50% are more than that.
I have not found much of the 50% that are taller than that.
I'm not sure you're looking.
I'm
but
not
that's
sure
okay.
I'm looking in the right place.
But let's assume that my
Okay.
information is right. So half the men would qualify. So
Okay.
somebody tall.
Tall, not skinny, but not like just can hold their own and
So another thing I'm going to teach you is you don't get what you want by stating what it's not.
Okay.
This is linguistically in your
Yeah.
brain. This helps.
Yeah.
For an example, and I'll use a silly example to prove this. If you're going to be chasing something you want, we need to have what's called a well-formed outcome. You've got to be really clear what it is, right?
Uh-huh.
The problem with saying things, and everybody does this, well, I don't want this, or it can't be that, or it's not this. If I gave you some money and I sent you to the mall and said, I want you to buy something for me, but all I'm going to tell you is what it's not. Okay. So it's not yellow or brown. It's not metal. It's not in the children's section. It's not in the men's section. It's not big. It's not in the jewelry section.
I'm never going to find your thing.
Exactly. Okay. Really what it is a purple bikini. But you would never in a million years know that if I just say what it's not. So it creates confusion even in our own brains when we use those sort of linguistics.
Okay.
All right. So as you are chasing what you want and having a well-formed outcome, you want to be really clear that you are stating it in the positive, just for your own brain.
Okay. I would say I want a man of stature, someone that not commands the room, but doesn't shy away from it either.
What's wrong with commanding the room?
I don't want like a class clown kind of command the room situation.
That's not what I think of when I hear command the room.
Command the room to me and my visual would be, I mean, my eyes would just automatically draw to him.
That's because he's confident and he walks with an air of authority.
Agreed. So
commanding the room sounds like good to me.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so we do want him to walk in and be able to command the room.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, okay. I see where you are. Gosh, this is really hard.
No, it's hard what you were doing before when you weren't clear on this.
Okay.
This will be, when it's clear, it's a lot easier.
Perfect. So I'll just find the perfect person immediately.
When you have all the numbers in the spreadsheet, isn't it easier to figure out the profit margins than if you only have some of the numbers?
It makes it
that's all we're doing.
Challenging.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
What else do you see? Imagine your future coming to you.
I would say he probably has facial hair.
Okay, take probably out of it. I never let my folks say probably, maybe, I think so, I hope so, because those are all wiggle room words. So you either do want facial hair or you don't, or it's okay either way.
I would say it's okay either way. Yeah.
Is it okay if they have a beard down to here?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a well-trimmed,
now we're specific. Okay, that's right. That's more of a well-formed outcome on the facial hair. I like that. Okay.
Well-groomed, dresses well, fine, bald or not bald. That doesn't bother me one way or the other.
Me either. Eyes? Color eyes?
I'm open to either. I've fallen in love with brown and I've dated blue. So, I mean, I'm open to either.
Cool. Okay. So as you imagine this, then you're noticing there's a lot of detail in that picture. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we go to auditory. What kind of things do you hear?
I hear laughter. I hear a lot of laughter. Music. I love live music.
Can you hear him whispering in your ear?
I can totally hear him whispering in my ear. I can hear him playing a musical instrument.
Oh, nice. Okay, so we have a lot of auditory cues there. Cool. Okay. What do you smell?
I would prefer to not smell stink.
There we go. Sorting by what she doesn't want. What do you want?
Just a nice, clean cut, a hint of cologne potentially, but not overbearing. Just a hint.
We don't want to know that he walked in the room before he gets there.
Absolutely. And I don't want to smell him after he's left the room. But just a nice, clean cut, a hint of cologne.
So when your senses are open, one of the fun things that happens is, there's a pheromone thing that happens. There's like an energy thing between people. There's a pheromone thing, hormones calling to each other. That's below the radar. It's not really in your normal awareness. But smelling the wrong way can be an incredible turnoff. And it's not necessarily that they have, BO or something. It's just the way that person happens to smell doesn't sync.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Right.
Conversely, it could be that it syncs like crazy and you don't really know why. It's part of the attraction. You just, wow, that guy's cool. I really enjoyed him or whatever. And you can't really quantify why that is. But it might just be that he smelled really good or the pheromones were working and you feel this attraction. So now let's talk about the feeling part, the kinesthetic part. Imagine what that would be like in your ideal scenario.
I would feel loved. I would feel safe, secure.
How does that happen? What does safe and secure feel like?
It feels like I'm cared for, like they would drop anything to help do
that you're the most important thing.
A minor task, correct.
Well, that's the way it should be,
That is the way it should be.
You didn't have that before?
Not in my marriage. I did in my other relationship.
Okay. So now you know what that looks like. Okay. That's pretty cool, huh?
It was amazing.
Okay. So you feel, can you describe how you would feel connected? Like if I use the word connected.
I don't know what you mean.
For you to feel connected to another person, that's because you're in your head, not your senses. When you feel attraction for somebody, where in your body do you feel that?
In my heart.
Yes. And you feel connected to somebody, where do you feel that?
I still feel it in my heart.
Bingo. So in here, what does connection feel like?
I go back to safe and secure and love.
Is it warm or cool?
It's warm.
Is it fast or slow?
It's a mix. Sometimes it's really fast and sometimes it's really slow.
And is it heavy or light?
Heavy.
Rough or smooth?
Smooth.
So it has some qualities you didn't know about.
I've never thought that through. But
I know. I love when people tell me that. Okay, I live for this stuff. Okay, so there are qualities to it, if you're open to your senses, that make it kind of weirdly easier to know if that's happening. As compared to if you're all up in your head analyzing shit. That's a very different experience, isn't it?
It is.
Right.
It is.
So I would guess that when you were Costa Rica, Michelle, you were very in your senses.
I was very in my senses in Costa Rica, for
well,
sure.
that's a beautiful thing, a beautiful gift you got from God to show you that's how you need to live.
Right.
Living in your senses is all about being that Costa Rica girl. And of course, that doesn't mean you can't be awesome in your head doing numbers and being an accountant, but that you have the ability to do the other.
Right. Right.
You with me?
I'm with you.
Okay. So there's sight, sound, touch, smell, taste. If you don't like the taste of his saliva, hey, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a million different parts to this whole sensory thing. But the more you are in your senses, the more accurate your situation's going to be. When you're in your head, the less accurate it's going to be.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I think the whole point is for you and a lot of other people, you need to pay a lot of attention to your senses. That's where you want to be when you're interacting with other humans. And that's actually true everywhere. It's not true when you're interacting with your spreadsheets,
Right.
but it is true with interacting with any other humans. What you see in front of you, that's reality. What we have in our head is just basically shit we make up.
Right. Right.
It's not real. And we can spend a lot of time, we can waste a lot of time in worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, confusion, irritation, just because it's like a little tempest in a teapot in there.
True.
Right?
True.
So if you were going to take one of your senses that you use so well in Costa Rica and be Pensacola Michelle with that sense, which one would it be?
Probably feeling.
Literally physical touch? Okay. And how would you promote or use physical touch more?
I don't even know. And maybe that's why Costa Rica Michelle isn't in Pensacola as much as I would like for her to be. Because I don't know how to use that more.
What would you like to know how to use?
I don't even know where to go with that.
Well, there's being more aware of your physical senses for yourself and for others, right?
Yeah.
What did you do in Costa Rica that made it seem like you were indulging your physical sense?
So I would say in Costa Rica, I didn't worry about me and what I was wearing and what I was looking like and that kind of thing. Whereas here, I don't go to Target unless I'm put together. There,
why?
I just don't, because you see everybody whenever you go to Target if you're not put together.
And what would be the bad thing about that?
Well, I don't know. I just feel like I should be put together.
Well,
and
I know, but can we consider that may not be accurate or useful?
100%.
Okay, so let's play with that. So
there, I would put on a hat and go in the pool all day and not worry about it. No makeup, no. Whereas here, I generally have makeup on every day, even if I'm working from home. It just makes me feel a little bit more dressed up.
That used to be true. But see, the need for that is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So what would happen if you didn't do that? If you had more of a casual approach to wearing makeup, being dressed up, and so forth? So like if you weren't working and you were just hanging out at home on Sunday, you could run to Target or the market or whatever and just be
Costa Rica, Michelle, and Pensacola. No, I think that would be great.
Would there be any downside to that?
No.
So what's the fear in not doing it?
I don't know. I think it's just more of this is what I've always done, not necessarily
see, the past has nothing to do with anything.
I know,
we're designing a future.
Agreed.
We're designing a future. So like, do you have really nice heavy sweaters?
Yes.
And do you wear them in July?
No.
Why?
Because it's too hot.
Yeah. Exactly. So you have to respond to what's going on in front of you,
right?
The situation you're in, not because in July I used to wear sweaters,
right?
In January I used to wear them, but not in July,
right?
So you might be a little bit trapped in the thinking of that's how I've always done it.
Absolutely.
So what I would tell you is there's absolutely nothing you've gone through in the past, no matter how long, how difficult, how whatever, that necessarily has anything to do with what you choose to do next. That's a freedom-based way of thinking. And it's based entirely on what? On the future, not what used to be. So we want to look at all these kinds of decisions that you make, not in terms of whether are they right or wrong, or did I used to do them or not used to do them. It's are they useful now? So I would just ask you, is it really useful to get dressed up to go to Target?
No, it most certainly is not.
All right. So how would you break yourself out of that habit? And by the way, habits are a favorite topic of this podcast. How would you break yours? Because that's just a habit,
It's
right?
just a habit.
Right?
It is.
There's no good or bad, right or wrong. It's just a habit you acquired. The question is, do you think it's useful?
No, it's definitely not useful.
Okay. So how would you break that habit?
I think I just would have to start doing it on a Sunday morning, on a weekend morning.
Which Sunday would you like to start doing that?
Apparently this Sunday.
That's what I'm thinking. Right. So I once had a client, a really nice man, who was so rulesy. He showed up, actually, I showed up at 9:59 on my watch. I saw it as I walked into the door. At 9:59, I went into my office for the 10 o'clock appointment.
You were a minute early.
He greets me. This is the first meeting. He greets me by saying, "You're late." Looked at my phone. I said, "No, actually, I'm a minute early. Right. It's 9:59."
Right.
Okay. So that told me exactly where we needed to go in that meeting. Well, so long story short, obviously he was very rigid around rules about being on time. His view was that if you're not 15 minutes early, then you're actually late.
Yeah.
Okay, so on time for him is 15 minutes before the time. I said, well, that's interesting. I'm sure that's been helpful in a lot of ways. But my question is, how's that working for you now? And he goes, well, it really pisses my wife off. Yeah, I said, okay, so well, let's work on that. So anyway, he agreed that actually was something he wanted to work on because that anything we're really rigid around is, not fun.
Right.
So I said, okay, well, I can cure this. I can fix this for you, but you have to do exactly what I'm going to tell you. And no pushing
deviation.
back. No, got to do it. And he goes, oh, no, well, okay. I said, all right. So the next time you come here next week for your next appointment, you're going to come 15 minutes late. Meaning, let's be specific, if we have a 10 o'clock appointment, you are not to walk in that door until 10:15. Now, I already know what you're thinking. You're not going to drive up at 9:45 and wait in your car. You're not going to get in the lobby at 10 o'clock and wait for 10:15. No, you're going to drive up and park about 9:14 and then walk up to my office at 10:15. And he had the look of shock on his face like I shot his dog.
Yeah.
He said, really? And I went, that's exactly what I want. Well, the next meeting rolled around and he was obviously uncomfortable, but he did it. So the next time I said, okay, you did pretty good with that. This time it's only 10 minutes late. So next time was 10, so forth. So by 3 or 4 times into it, he found he could be comfortable just showing up at 10 on time, right? At which point I said, now that you're comfortable with just being here at 10, all rules are suspended. You can come early, you can come late. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. Do as you like.
I like it.
And it sort of, he kind of went, like all of a sudden the world opened. Wow, I could do either one? Wow. And that's what I want you to be thinking about. Okay, so some of these rules that you have, really, how bad would it be? So your goal, because we always have to have goals, your goals in this whole ridiculous being afraid of what people would think if they saw you without makeup. I mean, she's gorgeous, really. Like, who would complain? You're just being silly, really. So the moment you can go to Target or Publix or wherever else with no makeup, just casually dressed, hat on your head, flip-flops, whatever. Actually, I even have flip-flops today. Like, really, I didn't have to have high heels.
That's true.
That would go with my outfit because I didn't care.
True.
And if it looks a little weird, so the camera wouldn't have seen that unless I showed it, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm pleasing myself.
Yep.
So as soon as you can get comfortable showing up to Target or wherever that way, and I mean really like, no big deal, then do what you want. You can get all made up if you want to go to that bother, or you could go unmade up, whatever. It doesn't matter. And it should be emotionally neutral.
Yeah.
The tip-off is when I have to do this. Anytime we have to do something with that sort of intensity, that's usually an issue.
Right.
Okay. So what's your favorite thing you learned?
I think that Costa Rica Michelle can exist.
Well, you knew she could exist.
Well, exist in Pensacola on the regular. She makes appearances, but on the regular.
And what would you do specifically to make that happen? Teach me how you would do that.
In one word, relax. I mean, and I'm getting better at it. I'm not great at it. I still have
What if
a
you
long
go all
way
the
to
way?
go.
What if you went all the way?
And that's my goal.
How will you know that you're there?
Oh, I'll know Costa Rica Michelle when she comes out.
Okay. So the last thought I want to leave you with is, it isn't a random thing that just happens. It's something you create. Okay.
Right.
So there was a way that there was a pace that you moved at, a speed that you moved at. Your awarenesses were different. You were in your senses more. All of that can be recreated.
Okay.
Like there was a mood you were in.
Yeah.
Describe the mood.
Carefree, very relaxed, happy, and open to trying new things the whole time. New foods, new places, there was no air conditioner. We were in March.
Oh.
I mean, it was warm, but I didn't care, and it was great.
Okay. So if you want to recreate Costa Rica Michelle here, the very first thing you do is go into that same mood or state of mind. Because that's already in your head. You know what that is. That you look a certain way, you feel a certain way, you talk a certain way, you move a certain way. Yeah. So you can get in that mood or state of mind and then have your body and movements match it. That would be the way to do that. So it's not something that just sort of accidentally happens or falls out of the sky and hits you on your head. It's something you create.
Right.
So if you woke up tomorrow morning and said, okay, Costa Rica Michelle is going to be in Pensacola and I'm going to get really good at it because she also is going to come on the plane to Paris with me.
Yes, that is the plan.
Then we'll have Costa Rica Michelle in Paris.
Which is crazy.
And Scotland.
And Scotland. Yeah, I would welcome that.
I bet you would because it sounds really fun to me.
It sounds really fun.
So if you wake up tomorrow morning, how do you make that happen?
Take the day as it happens instead of trying to be so rigid with everything that has to happen in the day. And let go, yeah.
Let go. I trust that you're going to be able to do the things you need to do and get done what you need to get done.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubt about that.
Yeah.
But the rest of it,
just let it go.
Just kind of let it go and be jiggy with it.
I like it.
Okay, so we could do that starting now?
Yeah, starting right now.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I feel like we got some kind of cool things settled and some interesting perspectives.
Absolutely.
So your biggest takeaway from this is you can be in the mood that you want to be in by creating it, and you already know what that feels like.
Right.
And it is all about what it feels like. It's about your senses, what you see and touch and feel and hear and taste and smell.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your very interesting story.
You're welcome.
And your desire to do some more things that sound like a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Okay.
It's been fun.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you liked it, and I hope we can follow up and see how it all worked, because
We'll
I'd
see.
really be interested to hear some success stories after this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.